Legion, it's Hadrian. Thank you for being here and welcome back to Strategy School in Civilization 6 Rise and Fall. This video is going to focus exclusively on traders and trade routes. And the reason we decided to make it, again, if you weren't watching the video 2 episodes back, I think, the reason we decided to make it its own topic is that originally we were going to talk about builders and traders as kind of auxiliary units in a way. You know, accessory units might be the better way to put it, in one episode. And when I finished talking about builders in that initial attempt and started talking about traders, I was like, man, there's a lot more detail here than you initially might think. That's one of the reasons Civilization 6 is popular, I believe, is that, you know, this game has been popular as a PC game. It's obviously available on tablets and consoles now, but it's been popular as an entertainment title for decades now. And the reason is that it has this approachability and accessibility to it. But when you really get into the nitty-gritty of these systems like trade, something as straightforward as a trade route actually takes a little bit of study in order to understand all of the ways in which it can benefit you and how the system works specifically. I actually learned a good bit about the trade system in preparing for this episode. There are even more things than I initially had written down to discuss in the Builder and Trader episode that I want to cover now. So we're going to talk about traders, and we're actually, as I do this, we're going to play through a few turns in the midst of it, because I still have to deal with these barbarians a little bit in the process of protecting the trade route. But we are going to work on trade and talk about trade, and then we'll play through a few turns until we unlock our first governor at the end of the episode. And the next episode will be about governors and loyalty, which is a Civilization 6 Rise and Fall specific topic. So it's going to be covering something that you can only really have access to if you've purchased the expansion, but this is a Rise and Fall tutorial, so that's okay. So the first thing I want to mention, since we're finally going to do something with this trader, which has been sitting in Ur all by himself, just unable to do anything because we haven't been giving him any orders, I want to mention that there are some interface options. We're going to go through all three of these really quickly. But first of all, because we skipped his turn with the spacebar, the wake up option is available. So when we click that, now it's treating the unit like it would any other turn, where when we cycle to it like that, we have both trade routes that are available to this trader open to us. Why are these the two trade routes that are available, and what does each trade route give you? Well, first of all, let's talk about the most basic function of a trader. Traders create trade routes. Trade routes help you boost your civilization's yields. You're already seeing from Uruk and Toronto that you're getting food and production, or production and gold yields at a certain amount. What yield is boosted by a particular trade route is dependent upon mainly the destination city. So while there are some civilizations that have kind of a focus on what the origin city gets from the trade route, there's less of a focus in Civilization 6 than there was on 5 on mutual benefit to trade. And it's very much about, okay, what benefit is the origin city going to get from the destination city they set up as the trade route? So you have the trader in a particular location, and the benefits for the location, for the origin city, are determined by the destination for the trade route. It's not about, again, how each city benefits. There are some things, like, for instance, religious pressure, which kind of go both ways in a trade route, but in Civilization 6, there's a lot more focus on the benefits for the origin city. So I'm saying that mainly for the benefit of the Civilization 5 players. You're not missing anything. There's nothing extra in the interface that could show you what Ur is going to get from this, because Civilization 6 has kind of de-emphasized that a little bit. Before I talk about this screen in a little bit more detail, one more thing I want to mention is that traders share a property with great people, which we're going to talk about in 2 episodes. These can be transferred between cities instantly. When you click this button, you can either use this list here. Right now the list is only 1 city long, or you can just click on the green tiles, like so. And it allows you to move. Now this will use all of the traders, well, the trader doesn't have movement points, but you won't be able to do anything more with the trader that turn, but you can teleport them between cities once per turn. And it allows you to use these kind of utility type units like traders, and again, we'll talk about great people soon. It allows you to not have to move them across the map. You can still move great people across the map. Traders actually can't be given move orders. Notice there's not even a movement box available here for this trader. So I can't tell this trader to go here, go here, go. It's not possible. The trader operates autonomously. So we're going to take this trader, and we have 2 options. We have the option of trading with Uruk, the option of trading with Toronto, and Toronto, of course, will give us a bonus envoy, which we talked about earlier in the series, if we send them a trade route. So that's very, very tempting because we get the gold per turn right away, and we get the production bonus. The main thing that will determine which yields are boosted by your trade route is whether you are trading internationally or intranationally. So if you have an internal trade route, you will get a production and food bonus. If you have an external trade route with a city-state or another civilization, it'll be more focused on the yields and on the districts built in the city you're trading with. So this is a industrial city-state. You can tell by its color, once again. Now, if I actually select Toronto, does it say specifically? Yeah, it's an industrial city-state. That's the type. That's what I was looking for. So we're getting a production bonus. If we were trading with a science city-state, we would get a science bonus and some gold. You will always get gold from international trade routes. You will not get gold necessarily. There are some civilizations which can, but you will not get gold necessarily from intranational trade routes. So internal trade routes are more focused on the growth of your civilization. If I wanted to grow faster and kind of catch up to Uruk in the early game, I could say that I want to trade with Uruk. And it would get 3 food and 1 production for, well, you would think 5 turns or 4 turns. We need to talk about this in the comments section, by the way. This aspect of the trade interface is something that is a little bit deceptive. It's not well explained in the game. This trade route is not going to be done in 5 turns. That's what it makes it look like. It does show accurately how many tiles away a given trade route or a trade destination is. So this is 4 tiles. That's 5 tiles. That's accurate. But it's not going to be done in 5 turns. It's not even going to be done in 10 turns. The math is a little bit interesting. You can kind of judge what are the longer routes, but how long the trade route takes to actually complete, because something very, very important called a trading post is built at the end of a trade route when the trade route actually runs its course and you have the option to give the trader a new order. That number, how long it takes to get to that point, is not shown on the interface, and you would think it would be. But right now, just know that this number is just showing the distance, not the actual length of the trade route, even though that's how the game represents it. We can talk about it again in the comment section because we can all benefit, including myself, from talking more about it and learning about it in terms of just a discussion, because it's not clear in the game. So if you have any insight on that, feel free to hop down to the comment section while you're watching or after you're done watching. So one thing I want to point out before we go too much farther, trade routes are different from trade agreements. We've talked a little bit about the things you can do, and we will be talking after the classical era transition about this screen and the things that you can do diplomatically with other leaders. When you actually go up to the leaders of other civilizations and talk to them and say, hey, I want this for this. You can customize trade deals and trade agreements with other leaders. That's quite different from a trade route. Trade routes, again, are autonomous, and they give you bonuses that are locked in. You can't customize them. You can just choose which route you want to pursue, and they give you certain benefits for your civilization. One very, very, very big benefit that is much more grounded and physical, literally grounded, to traders is traders are how roads are built in Civilization 6. In Civilization 5, the worker unit, which in Civilization 6 is called a builder and works quite differently, built roads. In Civilization 6, roads are built automatically as a trade route progresses. So if I were to set up a trade route between and Uruk, we would eventually have a road connecting these 2 cities automatically. Don't have to do anything except establish the trade route. It'll just appear under the trader as the trader moves turn by turn. And the roads will give you the ability to move more quickly through your territory. The roads are not magically available only to you, so enemy units will also be able to use your roads to move more quickly towards other cities, but it can be very handy to have that transportation network, and being very intentional about where you establish your trade routes will help you get those roads built early on. Also, being very intentional about your trade routes will help you setting up your trading posts and your late game trading strategy. And that's something that, honestly, I have learned a lot about while preparing for this video. So we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get more specifically to trading posts. So when it comes to traders, you only have access to so many trade routes at one time. Right now we have 1 available because we've researched basic trade. We can increase this value by building markets or lighthouses. Those are the main ways. Markets are a commercial hub building, and lighthouses are a harbor district building. Those are 2 different district types. We have it's the gold-based district, and then basically the water-based district that you can set up when you have a coastal city. And then once you have those built, you build a market in the commercial hub, or you build a lighthouse in the harbor district, and you will get an additional 1 trade capacity. And then you have to build a trader, and you will be able to then send that trader wherever you like. You don't have to have the trader originating from the market or the lighthouse city. You just have to have that in order to train an additional trader, which you can then train anywhere you want. Those special buildings, like, again, the market or the lighthouse, just give you additional capacity. That being said, just as a quick note, those do not stack. So if you have a city with a market and a lighthouse, you won't get +2 to your trade capacity from that one city. You can only get the benefit once per city. They do not stack. Notice also that traders have a range when they're establishing new trade destinations. They can reach destinations within 15 tiles on land and within 30 tiles over water. There are ways in which this changes dynamically based on where you've traded in the past, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to go ahead, before we jump into that, and I want to give the order for this trader to head up to Toronto. Now we've gotten the boost towards currency, so now currency is going to take only 10 turns. Nice, as opposed to 14. We've already gotten the boost towards horseback riding as well, probably because we built a pasture. That's pretty handy. Still working through the basic technologies in the technology tree. And that might end the turn. We've got, I think, a scout that I need to give an order to. Let's move him down to the rice. Nothing there. Let's move you over here. Okay, and we'll go to the next turn. I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. I'm going to play for a few turns here. We are going to get to this government unlock, and then when I end the episode, we're going to talk a little bit about trading posts and what those mean. I'm going to move this scout back here to help protect this trade route, because I don't want this barbarian to cause me problems. We're going to move this warrior over here to chase after that scout. We have this builder in place. Let's go ahead and improve that pasture. We got some additional housing, 0.5 housing from that, and some more production for that tile. I'm going to move this fully healed warrior up to that farm. And then this archer, I don't want to move the archer onto one of these tiles because the barbarian slinger has 2 movement points, and he would be able to move onto this tile and then fire on either of these, which would be bad. So I'm just going to have the archer heal in Uruk until they're completely ready to go. This scout, oh, there's a barbarian. Glad I saw that. Let's move a little bit farther this way. Actually, I'll be fairly safe if I just go like this, because the barbarian would have to move. They're here, they would have to move, they would have to have a movement point left over in order to attack me, and getting here would take all their movement points. So they could come here if they wanted to, but moving here or here would take all their movement points as well. So I feel quite safe with this scout. And we still have 1 more movement point, actually. So, tell you what, let's... Aha, I found another goodie hut. Now we're on a hilltop here, so I don't believe either of those barbarians will be able to attack me. This one might if they come straight toward me. I'm fairly sure they won't be able to, because I'm up a hill, but we'll see. Alright, you can see that we just moved up this direction. You can see the road being built underneath. Good, the scout moved away. And I was right, they did close in on the scout, but we were able to get away. So, let's now step away from those barbarians. And I'm going to step into the woods here and see what I can uncover. Alright, still don't see Germany's borders, but we have found a German warrior and a German slinger. Looks like Uruk now is in need of amenities. They've grown to 5 citizens. 1 amenity of 2 required. Again, every 2 citizens. I had someone point out that when I was talking about amenities in the previous episode, I wasn't necessarily very clear on how this works. Every 2 amenities, every 2 citizens that your city grows after 3. So starting at 3, you need 1 amenity. And then every 2 after that, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., you need an additional amenity. So now that we're at 5 citizens in Uruk, we need an amenity. And we do have the ability, actually, we can purchase tiles to set that up. I'm going to go ahead and purchase this tile. Since we have gold coming in per turn, that's what really allowed that to happen. We're going to bring this builder down. It's going to take a second. We're going to bring the builder down and have them come after this cotton and improve it. Now this archer, Got a couple of units that could potentially be useful at this point. Let's go ahead and move this archer out. He's safer now at this point because the slinger moved away, and the slinger is probably not a threat anymore, to be completely frank. Yeah. Slinger is officially no longer a threat. Say goodnight. Got some experience for that warrior. We'll keep moving along with this scout. I'm going to go one farther just to unlock. I'm glad I did that, because there's a barbarian horse archer here. They might actually harass that scout a little bit. So Toronto is facing a slight barbarian problem, but they might be able to deal with it on their own. We'll see how this goes. Alright, Uruk. A couple of interesting options here. We have the option of building a granary, which will give me additional housing and food, but we already have a growth bonus from our Pantheon. Remember that. So, especially given that we have an amenity issue in both of our cities at the moment, that's not something that I necessarily want to go for right away. Because faster growth doesn't help me from a strategic standpoint. It'll just push me farther into needing to keep more citizens happy. So we can go for a library to get a science boost, or we can go ahead and train another settler, which would lower the population and allow me to expand to another location. I think I'm going to do that. So let's go ahead and get that settler training. We have one more turn until this monument is complete. This barbarian scout is almost dead. Let's go to the next turn. Okay, good. That trader moved to like the ideal tile to be protected from those barbarians. Surprise, surprise. Our scout is under attack. Alright, good. They're taking care of the barbarians in the area.
Thousands have lived without love. Not one without water.
Alright. So now we have the ability to clear marsh. We have unlocked the plantation improvement, which we need for that cotton. And we have the ability to build the Hanging Gardens, but I believe the Hanging Gardens has already been built. Yes. Earlier in the episode. Now, it's saying that I would have a major victory if I attacked with this scout. I'm not sure I believe that. I'm going to trust the city-states to handle this and protect my trade route. Hopefully that's not the wrong decision. This archer can fire on that scout, but I'd rather have this archer do it so they gain the experience. Have that archer heal up. We'll bring this warrior towards Toronto to help them deal with their problems. Got just a few more turns until our governor unlock, and then we will also talk about trading posts. Matter of fact, I might do that in the next turn rather than getting to the governor unlock right away. All right, let's go for mining now. Since we finished irrigation, again, we have access to the plantation, which we were going for very intentionally. Now mining, we need to rush this as quickly as possible because this is going to give us access to some of the basic military technologies, including the encampment district, which would be important for training our horsemen. All right, now this scout needs to move. Aha! Look who it is! It's everybody's favorite Cleopatra. It's an honor to meet you. Now, we are too far away. Both of our scout units that have encountered one another are too far away from any of our cities. So we would have to exchange information on capitals if we wanted Cleopatra to know where we were. Let's go ahead and be friendly. And let's say that we do, in fact, want to exchange information on capitals. Looks like barbarians have captured a settler belonging to Germany, which means Germany might have had some problems expanding early on, or that could possibly be an Egyptian settler. You never know. But we're going to leave that scout right there. Let's see. Is done with their monument, so now we have, notice, more culture per turn. State workforce is a couple turns away from finishing up. I think I would like to go ahead and go for... Ooh, I don't have the gold to buy these tiles, though. Ooh. Yeah, that's where I want to have a holy site. So what we're going to do instead... Yeah, it's a good spot for a campus there, too, but I'd have to get rid of the cattle, which makes me sad. There are a few tiles I could improve. I kind of want to train another settler, to tell you the truth. In that would be a little bit, from a strategic standpoint, that would be a huge focus on new cities. But I'm feeling pretty safe up here, and I might be able to get the settler. We've got a couple of warriors, we've got a couple of archers. We don't have our granaries yet, and we're going to need them. You know what? I'm going to do it. It's a little bit of a risk at this point in the game to do something like that, to have settlers, especially a 9-turn settler. We can change that possibly. Let's see. No, we can't change the production time. We can change the growth time on but not the production time by messing with yields. But I think we will be able to establish maybe a coastal city up here using that, and that would be very, very advantageous. Maybe in the meantime I can use my scout, which is here in at the moment, to maybe check out this area as a possible settlement location. So let's go to the next turn, and then I will talk a little bit about trade posts before we end here. My diplomatic delegation brings you a small gift of papyrus from the new Isis. Welcome them as you would welcome me. Your delegation is most welcome. Okay, so Cleopatra just gave me some gold. Toronto is getting bombarded by barbarians. We're going to have to help them out. Thankfully, their units are holding their own. But I don't know if they'll clear the encampment on their own. We'll see. The Ancient Era is ending in 8 turns. You've probably seen that countdown a couple of times so far. We're going to talk more about that when the transition actually happens. Let's move that warrior all the way up there. Take a peek at the coastline. Let's have the scout heal up for a bit. We'll move this archer down here. We'll have that archer finish healing up, and then it looks like we are finally ready, check this out, to improve that. Now, is still showing insufficient amenities, but that's a lie. Is content. So the interface doesn't always update as quickly as it should. Notice now that we have the right number of amenities. This is boosting both Uruk and and people are now happy. They're content. So we don't have any kind of penalties to these cities anymore. And we can't capture that settler. I would like to. That would be an easy 3rd settler. But let's take this opportunity. We found Germany's capital. I'm just strolling right up to Frederick's homeland here, just to kind of know where he is and how far he's gotten. It doesn't look like he's been able to expand, probably because his initial settler got captured. So, let me pause here, and we'll end this episode after I click the next turn button, because we're going to get our first governor unlocked. But first, let me talk about what happens when you finish a trade route. Let's pull the trade route overview up. Now, it's saying 4 turns here, total number of turns to complete this route, because that was, again, the number of tiles. It's going to take longer than that to get that done. Notice this is grayed out at the moment. No trading post has been established in the city. Once a trade route has run its course from an origin to a given destination, you will set up a trading post that works for all cities in that particular city. And that includes setting up trading posts in foreign cities like city-states and other civilizations. So now that we can see Aachen, we can also potentially trade with Aachen, which is quite nice. What does a trading post do for you? Trading posts allow traders to reach farther into foreign lands in general by resetting their travel range. So we talked about how a trader has a range of 15 or 30 over the sea. But if there is, for instance, a trading post in Toronto, a trader that I start in would be able to trade from anywhere 15 tiles away from and anywhere 15 tiles away from Toronto. Because Toronto's within 15 tiles, the trader would get to Toronto and then be able to move again from that trading post. Also, you get 1 gold per turn for every trading post that you are using. It's just an additional gold added to the yield. So think of it in terms of just turn yields. You know, each trading route is sending you a certain amount of production, gold, food, what have you, each turn. Every trading post on the route will add an additional +1 gold to that trade route. So pretty handy. And think in terms of building up your trade over the course of a game and being very intentional with where you send your traders so that you can expand your trade network and expand your gold income by having traders running through enemy territory. There are other benefits you gain from trading as well, like diplomatic access, which we're going to talk about in future episodes. but it's just a really, really, again, deceptively complex system, even though it is a very simple topic. That's why I wanted to focus on just one topic this video. And look, we're at 25 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. We did play through a little bit of the game, but talking about trade is I think, something that is worth going into a little bit more depth on. So hopefully that was useful to you. Let's go ahead and go to the next turn. You can see the trader's turned around and is headed back towards Ur.
Who deserves more credit than the wife of a coal miner?
Good question.
It is equally important to have a happy and engaged workforce as it is to have a profitable bottom line.
Okay. We have now unlocked our first governor. And notice that we have a new option in the interface up here, the governor's interface. Actually, well, that option might have been there before. But yeah, some of the options pop up, like for instance, the trade and city-state buttons. But now we will be able to actually jump in and use this governor title, which we've just acquired, to establish our first governor. And we haven't talked about that yet. We'll talk about it at the beginning of the next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, now at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.